Hey guys, welcome. It's Dane here, back with another video. Today I'm going to be speaking about drug use and also gang stalking, how it ties in, because some people have the idea that only drug users experience gang stalking, which isn't true. Some people who are coming out of the occult, Satanism, different negative relationships, soul ties, all sorts of stuff can kind of kick it off. So with all those things, there's spiritual reasons why. It's like even drug use in itself, people think that it's a form of psychosis or something from the drugs, but the reality about drug use is that it's a form of sorcery. It's a form of witchcraft. So when you are doing drugs, you are partaking in sorcery and you're involved with certain spirits. And kind of the revelation that I got from it was, it's like, in witchcraft, you do these rituals, right, to invoke these demons or come into agreement with these demons, right? So you have to do this ritual with these spirits and to give you a desired effect. And most of the time it's for evil purposes. I know there's white witchcraft and stuff like that, but it's all through evil spirits, even if you're not doing quote unquote bad things. So what I realized with drug use, it's very similar. It's like every time you're getting high, there's a ritual process, whether you're smoking it, eating it, snorting it, right? There's this process of, breaking the drugs down, preparing the drugs, breaking the drugs down, and then using them. It's like a ritual, and people that have had addiction issues is even the ritual part of the addiction becomes addictive, right? So for me, I used drugs from the time I was 15 until, on and off. Okay, no, from the time I was 15 to 26, I used drugs every single day. Drinking, using drugs, smoking weed, or all three, right? At all times except for when I was playing baseball. And even sometimes during that, for the most part I took baseball serious and everything, but I had this mindset where I thought I could just do drugs, and just be normal, right? For a long time I just functioned with drug use and all sorts of different drugs, right? I had no spiritual understanding. And so basically what's happening when you're getting high, it's the way that I look at it now, it's you're coming into a contract with demons, right? So you do your ritual, your little prep work, all that stuff. And then, for people that are smoking glass bubbles and freaking foils, or even just chopping up a line or smoking a bowl of weed, there's a process. You're preparing it, and then most of the time you're adding fire, especially if you're smoking it, which is interesting. And so anyways, you're doing this ritual for the desired effect, which is the high, right? And so for some drugs, it's a euphoric feeling. For other drugs, it's for energy. For other drugs, it's relaxation. So you're doing this ritual for the outcome of one of those things. So, but here's the thing, you're trading off, just like in witchcraft, it's these spirits are allowing you to believe you're in control and allowing you to think that you can stop at any time and that it's actually beneficial for you to do. And a lot of people are deceived in this. A lot of people are deceived in witchcraft in general, that they think they're in control, they can stop anytime. There's no negative repercussions. But the thing about the devil and his minions is like, he's taking more than he's giving every time. You're not getting one over on Satan. You're not coming out ahead. It's like he's handing you something right up front, but he's also picking your back pocket at the same time. And it's like all you're seeing is what he's giving you, but you're not seeing what he's taking. And so basically you're coming into a contract with them that you're not really realizing. And the enemy works in legal rights. So you open yourself up to be influenced and affected in a lot of different ways when you're using drugs. And it also puts you on, like with certain drugs, like meth, you know, it's like a lot of people think that they're just bugging out because they're on meth, but it's like, meth is a very spiritual drug. It puts you on like this wavelength that's just bad. And that's why you see people that do meth also struggle with a bunch of other things, because it's just like, it opens you up. So with the drug use also comes, you know, stuff with like sexual addictions, like maybe gambling, compulsion. You can see this because all people that do meth or certain drugs do the same thing. You know, you go to a meth house anywhere and they all have the same feel to them, you know. They're like, tweakers all do the same stuff. People that are on heroin all do the same stuff, like, because it's a spirit. And eventually, this is why you can tell, you know, eventually you can see, like, I can walk down the street and be like, I can tell who does what drug just by looking at them, right? Because eventually it's like, you start taking the form of this demon, right? You know someone that does meth after a long, prolonged use. Heroin, they all just, you know, fentanyl, they have this look to them, a certain look. And I don't know, I've had a lot of experience with this, so I can tell right off. Even if people are trying to hide it, right? I can tell when someone's high, I can tell when someone's using, but I'm also very familiar with those spirits. So I even find it interesting too. It's like it starts affecting the landscape, you know. Like when I've noticed this before, I'm driving through a certain neighborhood and I know, I can, just from looking at what's around, like I know this is a drug house right here. Like this corner is hot for drug use. I mean, it's plain to see even in the physical, right? But there's something spiritual about it. It's like what we see in the physical is a result of what's going on spiritually. But people with no spiritual understanding, they don't understand that like the root is in the spirit. So I don't know if any of this is making sense, but another thing that I've thought about before, with like the you know, making contracts, right? So this is why when people start shooting up, they have more destruction in their life, because it's a stronger contract, because they're putting the drugs in their life force, in their blood, right? So there's power in the blood. You know, this is just a spiritual truth. That's why the blood of Jesus is more powerful than anything. But in Satanism, they use blood for higher levels of witchcraft, you know, in different, you know, animal blood, people blood, all these things. Like there's significance to that. So I'm just trying to basically show that, you know, drug use and witchcraft are very similar in a lot of ways. That, like for me, I didn't put this together until you know, sort of recently. You know, I was blind to this the whole time I was using. I didn't understand the spiritual implications. I didn't understand that I was partnering with spirits. And even in the gang stalking stuff, I didn't have a real understanding. But I know that you know, when you're using hard drugs, you start experiencing different levels of spiritual warfare, you know, especially when you're also, like for me, I was like looking into, you know, truth, and God was drawing me out of that. So I really started experiencing, that's, you know, my gang stalking started not when I started using drugs, but when I came to Christ and continued to use drugs. Then it was like, you know, within a couple of weeks of me accepting Christ in my heart, I started getting gang stalked. And all this started happening after years and years and years of drug use, right? So it's not that it's a psychosis issue, or that people outside of drug use don't experience gang stalking. I know people that, you know, even would, if they drank, this would happen to them, you know, or even people that are sober, like I said, that are involved in the occult or Satanism, trying to come out of it. It's like it's an attack. It's a spiritual attack. So yeah, that's another thing that I thought about too, was like, you know, when you give your life to God and you receive Christ, he becomes like your life source. And so when you don't have God as your life source, you have to go to like a counterfeit. And for a lot of different people, it can be different things. But, you know, for me, it was like always like the drugs. I needed the drugs were my false source of life, right? So without the drugs, I couldn't do anything. Like it got to that point eventually, right? And you'll see this, like, even people that just smoke weed, they'll be like, you know, I can't eat unless I have drugs. I can't go to sleep unless I have drugs. Like I used to have to, like, you know, be shooting up to go to bed, to wake up, to go throughout my day. It's like, that was my life supply. And if I didn't have it, I felt like death, like, you know? So it's interesting how that happens. Like the drugs become your life, your God, your source, right? Your friend. You know, you can go without everything else, but you can't go without the drugs at a certain point. So I also thought about how, you know, these trap houses and, you know, like where I'm at, there's a lot of camps, right? Like homeless camps that are just like basically drug hotspots, right? And like I said, you can see it in the landscape. You can see it on the people. You know, that's all caused from spirits. It's like these spirits that are reigning over a certain area, you know, principalities. That's why, like, there's areas that are like high murder rates, you know, high prostitution. You go to a certain part of the city for where all the bars are at. Even like you know, financial districts, you know, red light districts. Like it's a district for a reason, you know. It's like a hub, but you know, people just say like, oh, that's just because they decided for it to come together. But yeah, there's a spirit behind it. Countries struggling with certain stuff. It's principalities. So anyways, these centers, like for the drug use, they become like the rituals are like an act of worship to these spirits, right? And it's like the appliances to get higher, like the altars, you know, and the places, the trap houses and the tents and the camps and stuff, they're like the temples, right? And it's like that, those are the spirits that are reigning and ruling there. And the cost of all this is like, it's stealing life from you. So it's not worth it, you know. I have to I think about these things a lot, you know, because of my past and, you know, the things that God's brought me out of. Like, so I'm not just speaking on this as an idea. These are things that I've had to face and battle with and experience all these spirits that are involved with this stuff. And so this one's kind of a little bit different than my normal videos, but I'm just going to put this out there, and hopefully, you know, whoever needs to see it, sees it. And yeah, that's what I got for today. I think that's it. All right, guys, I'll catch you on the next one.